You are here because the outside world rejects you.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to use the Zilla microhabitat to show you 3 different types of setups you can do for corn snakes, whether it be a baby or an adult. But for the sake of this video, I'm using this smaller unit that could be used for smaller corn snakes, baby corn snakes. But obviously it won't work for adults, but you can still take the same principles of this video and just upscale them to the size of enclosure that you are using. If you have an adult corn snake, an ideal enclosure would be at least a 40-gallon breeder, but obviously if you can give them more space, it's always best because they will utilize it to the fullest. Okay, so this first setup I'm going to show you is a pretty basic setup, often suggested for beginners. Me personally, I'm not too thrilled about this way, but it does work, so we're going to talk about it. So for this first setup, it's going to be a very basic, and often it is suggested either using paper towel or even butcher paper, so that's what I'm using here. It works, everything has its pros and cons. The only thing I don't like about it is it's not very absorbent. So that would be like the con for this. Of course, obviously you got to have a water dish. And another con for this is, it doesn't really hold humidity well. So you really should have either larger water dish or, you can add a humid hide. And of course, just simple hides. These are just cardboard boxes I found. Snakes really do like to sort of feel the walls around them, so these are just perfect where that they will crawl in there and they'll feel nice and secure. So everything about this setup is just easy cleaning. When it comes time to clean, you basically can just throw this stuff away and and start fresh, as opposed to having to soak and clean your other materials. And I always like to add foliage because not only does it dress the setup a little bit better as far as visually appealing, but it also adds more security, especially for young baby snakes. They really like to feel like they're hidden. So this allows them to leave their hides and still be able to crawl around for you to visually see them. This setup here is what I would recommend even to new keepers, because just the setup, it's visually more appealing. It simulates the natural environment a little bit better, and this also holds humidity better. So potentially that a humid box is not needed. Of course, that also depends on where you live in the country. But yeah, this has always been my go-to type of setup. So yeah, I would recommend. Use either this Repta bark, or if you are in an area and you need to bump the humidity, use this forest floor instead. It works much better. But for the sake of this video and for what I have on hand, I went ahead and just used the Repta bark, but the same is applied to either or. Of course, put down a nice layer of it. And what I like about this is it aids in humidity, helps you with humidity, but it also helps much better for spot cleaning. Of course, we're going to use a water dish. Again, make it size appropriate for if you need the extra help on humidity. I'm also going to put in that you can use these wooden boxes again. Now, in this type of setup, they're not going to last as long. So I have a better suggestion, what I think works much, much better. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove it from the setup. And here's what I like better. Cork tubes, cork flats. If they got a slight curve to them, even better. Again, it looks more natural. The snakes are going to enjoy climbing in it and on it. It just creates way more, areas for them to just explore. And it also aids in humidity. When you spray it, it's going to slowly release that humidity back out into their environment. So just kind of rearrange things as you like. And again, I'm going to come back in with some fake plants because, again, I think it just aids in, one, the appeal of the look overall, and also it gives the snake that added security. So when they do come out from hiding, I guess technically they're still hiding, but they feel a little more secure when they're climbing in and around plants. Okay, so this setup, the third setup, is my ultimate favorite, and this is how I prefer to set mine up personally. The only thing I would do different is substitute real plants in for the fake plants, but for the sake of this video, I just use fake plants as the stand-in. But so let's go ahead and take a look at what I've done. So the substrate is this Reptisoil, pretty basic. You can definitely get deeper into different soil amenities, especially once you get into live plants, but that could be a topic for a whole other video. This is just the basics. So again, we're just going to dump some of that in. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, but I like to get about a 1/2 inch at least, because the snakes will burrow into it. And also, again, this is another one of those that really aids in keeping the humidity up. The only downside to this is do not let it get too dry, because then it gets too powdery or dusty, and you don't want your snake breathing in those particles, because that's not going to be good for them. So you do have to maintain some level of moisture level in this substrate. That's probably one of its downfalls. And again, you got to spot clean because it will grow mold. So you got to keep up on your cleaning. Again, for hides, we're going to come back to the cork tubes and the cork bark because, again, I like the way it looks. And so we're trying to go for a naturalistic look as possible that we can get. And what better than just pieces straight from nature. So the tubes make for a hide, the half rounds make for a hide, so it just works out. Again, a water dish. I'm not going to go too crazy on a water dish on this unit because, again, we already have so much humidity sustaining properties in here that we don't really need a large water dish, although they do like to swim from time to time. So again, I'm going to put live or fake plants in here as a stand-in, but ultimately I would switch these out for live plants. So there you have it. That is 3 different layouts that I have used over the years in my snake keeping hobby. If you have any questions, comments, or maybe you have a better idea, please share them in the comments below so that way we all can learn. And until next time, later.